Ocala County authorities say it happened around 8:30 p.m. Tuesday as corrections officers were booking a prisoner. Officer Kathy Shaw was placing the inmate into the B3 cell block when she was brutally attacked. That vehicle made it only a few short blocks before it was stopped by Grand Haven police officer Scott Flahive. What happened next is unclear. Police only confirming Officer Flahive was shot and killed minutes after making that stop.
I don't usually make videos on this type of stuff, you know. It's more just gaming and stuff, but you know, my dad's a police officer. He retired, and it kind of just reminded me of this officer right here, Scott Flahive, and I thought I just wanted to share a little story because it's kind of interesting. So basically, the officer Scott Flahive was killed in December 13, 1994. I think if I'm wrong, then that's just awkward. But basically, he was killed right in my hometown, Grand Haven. And the most interesting thing about this is that my dad, he was a police officer, and he was really close friends with Scott Flahive. And he literally just witnessed Scott just get shot right in front of him and die. My dad was the one that brought Scott to the hospital, but it was too late. He was already gone. So yeah, in this video we're going to be going over everything that happened that night and the events leading up to it. It's a pretty sad story, honestly, and it's honestly almost forgotten too, seriously. If you search up Scott Flahive on the internet, you'll get 3 articles at most and a few pictures. But I've been digging around and I found pretty much everything about him, and also personal experience from my dad. I know probably way more than about this whole thing than most people know. So, you know, I'm gonna share it. It's an interesting story. So sit back, relax, get it a little snack or something, and enjoy my awesome, high quality, epic story that I'm about to tell you. So Keith Harbin was arrested on May 20 because he was doing something with drugs and stuff. This is actually a paper I found. My dad has a ton of papers, and I'll be showing them more later, but yeah, basically he got arrested for having all this drugs and stuff, and he just was like, I'm gonna escape. And that was a dumb decision of him. You'll see why. Also, Keith Harbin got 40 years in prison, so of course he wasn't gonna want to stay forever, and it got to the point where he even said that it's either he's gonna escape or he's just gonna die trying. And so, you know, this wasn't really out of the ordinary. I mean, it was definitely a big thing. You know, he was sentenced for 40 years, but, you know, nobody really thought much of it. And, you know, it was a good summer. Summer of 1994. Everything was going perfect until, you know, December came along.
Officer Kathy Shaw was placing the inmate into the B3 cell block when she was brutally attacked.
When she opened the cell to let that person in, she was overpowered by an inmate in the cell. Her keys were taken from her. A second cell was opened, and a second person left from the other cell.
Those 2 inmates proceeded to the north side of the jail, exiting the facility on foot. Minutes later, according to police, one of the inmates, Keith Harbin, was picked up by 2 women waiting in a car. That vehicle made it only a few short blocks before it was stopped by Grand Haven police officer Scott Flahive. What happened next is unclear. Police only confirming Officer Flahive was shot and killed minutes after making that stop.
He's a young man, 28 years old. He and a lot of the other young officers were real close friends. I know he liked to fish, things like that. They all got along real well, and one of our bright officers.
So it was at this cell that Keith broke out of. You know, an officer was trying to put him in the cell, and then all of a sudden he just completely beat the crap out of her, and then ran and got his friend broken out, and together they left and got in the car with their girlfriends, where they only made it a couple blocks, and you know, the rest happened, where Scott was shot and killed. Now, if I was a good content creator, I'd show the whole court case that my dad actually had. It's all printed out right here. Basically, it goes through the whole court scenario thing. But, you know, I'm too lazy to actually do that, but it's just kind of cool, you know. This is, like, actually from the whole case itself right here. Like, honestly, I don't even know if I could be posting this, but, you know, it's whatever now. And so, yeah, there's a bunch of other just stuff going on here. Crazy stuff. And then that's the funeral that they were at. And that stupid idiot right there. And then, yeah, not a very good situation.
We forced the car off the road, and Scott ran up on the car right away. And as I was getting out of the car and starting to run up on the car, I could see the rear window blow out. And then it was a shot from the back seat of the car. You hear a gunshot, and Scott dropped right in between the car, between his car and the suspect car. Yeah, it was very horrible. It was horrible. I don't know how else to put it. Well, just a flood of emotions, anger. Just scared for all of us. I'm not an overly religious person, but I do believe in God, and I think that we all have a purpose on this planet for whatever reason, and we may not completely understand what that is. But I think Scott's purpose may have been to cement these relationships that we had here at this department. Not only did he sacrifice his life for this community, but you know, who knows if they would have been that strong after his sacrifice. I mean, I don't know. You're always trying to look for the positive in horrible situations, and that's really the only positive thing I can see years later as to that, is it definitely cemented our friendships.